I now recognize the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Crane, for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you guys for being here. I'd like to take a second to push back on one of my colleagues' comments that he made a second ago to a friend of mine who's not in the room to defend herself. Mr. Ivey actually said, quote, "I guess Miss Lake is still saying that the election was stolen from her, even though there's clear, according to the officials in the state, that this was not the case." Now, I find it funny when people in this town use that defense, according to the officials. Right. Like the American people believe the officials. They don't. A recent Pew study showed that only 20% of the American people believe the elected officials. You know, and it's also funny too, because we all know that election fraud couldn't take place in this country, could it? Right? This is America. That couldn't take place here.
Will the gentleman yield for a question?
Just recently, we're finding out that this president, this commander-in-chief, has used his position and influence for years to funnel millions of dollars to his family. That's something I also thought I'd never see in this town.
Will the gentleman yield for a question?
No, I will not. No, I will not.
I mean, you did invoke my name.
Well, I actually quoted you, so I will not. All right. Though I don't agree with Mr. Ivey's comments, I'm glad that he's allowed to say them, because I do support the First Amendment. I support his First Amendment. I support everybody in this room's First Amendment. And you know what? You know what's important about supporting the First Amendment? It's most important when you disagree with people. That's really the only time it's important, because when we don't agree, everybody supports the First Amendment when you agree with somebody. And it's interesting because I was listening to the panel up here, and we went down the line, and everybody here said that they support the First Amendment. Yet, when we were going back and researching some of Dr. Miller Idris's comments, MSNBC 7/17 of 2022, on the January 6 hearings, she says this: "What we need right now is a massive investment in and commitment to countering disinformation at all levels. This includes holding tech companies accountable for dangerous and harmful information shared on their platforms." She goes on to say, "It requires strategies to prevent public and elected officials from sharing disinformation or trying to undermine our elections and the peaceful transfer of power. But above all, we need serious and sustained public education and campaigns to build population-wide resilience to disinformation, understanding of source integrity, and ways to distill false claims from true facts." It's interesting, ma'am, because it seems like you only support free speech when you agree with it, or you wouldn't make the statement, "It requires strategies." I'm going to zone in here on this: strategies to prevent public and elected officials from sharing disinformation. I've gone through some of your tweets, ma'am. Whether we're talking about COVID vaccines or, far-right extreme groups, there's a lot of things that you and I would disagree on. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of things that people sitting on your left and right would disagree on. But you think that we should stop them from being able, according to your own quote, according to your own words, that we should stop them from being able to say that. And that's a problem, man, because I'll tell you again, the most important time to support somebody's free speech isn't when you agree with them. It's when you disagree with them. And ma'am, I hope that you and others that think like you are not successful, because I fought really hard to make sure that my kids and hopefully someday my grandkids don't live under communism or socialism or some other tyrannical dictatorship. Thank you. I yield back.